how early will the Niners draft a wide receiver this year, given that we earlier said that the Niners could be a year away from trading Brandon Ayuk if he plays really well and is worth a lot?
This is another question. What do I think the Niners will do? What do I think the Niners should do?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's highly likely they could draft with their first pick. They could use a wide receiver. I mean, they've done it. They've done it in the past. So,
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle played the position. So
He loves it. It's his favorite. It's probably his favorite position to scout. All of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if he'd take one in round 2 because it's still a 2 wide receiver offense. You know, you have Juszczyk for a reason, but round 3, I can see it. And even round 2, maybe. I mean, it's a late second round pick, but with one of those first couple of picks, I can see the Niners taking a wide receiver because 1, I think they're going to trade Ayuk if they keep Debo. And 2, I mean, it seems like if wide receivers are worth this much in trades, you probably should be drafting and developing one every year because it's kind of like printing money or draft picks. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It used to be everyone used to always draft a quarterback, develop them, and you can kind of flip them. Maybe you can do that with wide receivers now.
It also depends who's available, right? Like if a guy that's unexpectedly is available at that 61 pick, and a guy that you just have so high on your board, and you're like, oh, we just got to take it, right? Like I don't know, like Christian Watson, right? Like Christian Watson's available. He's so high. If he's so high on your board, you draft him, and then you're having contract issues with Debo. What happens if you bring this guy into camp and like he's just tearing it up in camp? Does that make your negotiations with Debo a little easier?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
What if like they drafted Watson and that connection is the truth, and you know he's just out there mossing the hell out of Charvarius Ward? Like,
yeah. I don't know. It just seems like what we're learning is that these wide receivers are game changers. You can't have enough explosive playmakers in your offense. You might not have Brandon Ayuk for more than one more year. Jawan Jennings is cool, but not explosive. Why would you pass on this? It almost seems like even if you didn't have a need, you should probably take one. They're so valuable. I'm thinking they take one pretty early. I wonder if they go running back and wide receiver and both on day 2. They could.
What I'd be interested to see in the next couple years, because I think if you look at the past couple of drafts, is there's been so many good wide receivers in them, and I think maybe it's going to take a little while for the league to kind of catch up. But for me, I think it's almost devaluing the position where if I was a GM, I would take the approach of like I would trade or let my receivers go and keep drafting young ones and let them be the playmakers and then let my other guys walk.
I also feel like the league is kind of looking at wide receivers differently. Like what they used to value. Debo fell because they felt he was a tweener, right? Now everyone wants Debo. Now everyone wants his skill set. And so like in the past, it used to be like when I was a kid, they wanted you had to be big and fast. And then it kind of changed to you don't have to be big and fast. You got to be a good route runner. Now it's like that doesn't matter. You have to be explosive with the ball in your hands because everything else will come after that. And that's interesting. It seems to be working with the Niners. And all of a sudden they bring in Ray McLeod, who's what? Explosive with the ball in his hands, even though he's not super fast once he gets past second gear. But it seems like that's the way they're going. Yeah. And also I wanted – go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I don't know that Debo Samuel is something that you can just pull guys out of thin air and replicate. I think he's a special talent. Like there aren't a lot of wide receivers you just put at running back and have him do what he does. He's a special.
But there are a fair amount of wide receivers you can just throw a screen to and they're instantly dangerous.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp, right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and Tyreek.
And I think it would be wise to get somebody that's if you could get like a poor man's Debo Samuel and put him on your roster. Why? Because if Debo Samuel's out, it's going to take a good portion of your playbook out. You want to still be able to execute some of those plays that you run for Debo. And so having a poor man's Debo is probably a wise thing to have on the roster.
I would say so. One last thing I wanted to point out, the Niners lost DJ Jones, big loss on the defense, but they made up for it. Not in the same not in the same position group, but they got Charvarius Ward. You know, they made a choice, and I like it, a value judgment. They let Lake and Tomlinson go. Fine. You don't want to spend a bunch of money on guard? Fine. Okay. You can't tell me that Ray McLeod is the offsetting addition. It seems to me the Niners need to bring in a little offense. And it's not Ray, it's not Marcus Johnston, it's not Malik Turner. Like they're putting themselves in position to draft some offensive players early on. It could be offensive line, but the trend is to take weapons. I'm just saying that just takes us to where we started.
Could also be a tight end.
It could be a tight freaking end. How about that? Could be. Absolutely.
Trey likes to go to tight end, so too. So
Keith says we should pay Debo. First, the offense is stagnant without him. The year Bosa towards ACL, the D-line still looked competent. Yeah, I made that point too. Debo, if your agent's watching, tell him to make that point. Niners cut Jimmy Garoppolo before camp for him tanking his value. Like as soon as he can pass his
physical cut.
Oops.